All my longtime subscribers, stay tuned through the end of the video. The channel surpassed 80,000 subscribers yesterday or today, and in keeping with channel tradition, I'll share my gratitude and appreciation with you guys for helping me grow the channel. More than likely, probably share a personal story. Been a while since I've done this with you guys. I think we hit 70,000 back in September, maybe even August. The subscriber growth has kind of plateaued the last couple of months, but just stay tuned through the end of the video. And since this is the week of Thanksgiving and I'm showing my appreciation to you guys, I wanted to shout out Michael Karras for sending me the idea for this video. Michael's been a subscriber to the channel for a couple of years now. He often sends me these long emails where he is lecturing me about my disdain for Major League Baseball. He doesn't like the current product on the field in the NFL, and to be honest with you, he's felt that way for several years now. For the longest time, I didn't understand it. I've been a diehard fan of the NFL for 30 years. And sometimes when we like something so much, we have a tendency to ignore the negatives about it. But when it comes to the current product in the NFL, there's just no way we can ignore it any longer. The current NFL product, it sucks. Several weeks ago, I shared with you guys how I felt about the current product in the NFL. I told you that the league has a very serious problem. It's not the officiating. The league doesn't have NBA problems where games are damn near impossible to access on television. Unlike the NBA, I don't think most people feel like NFL players are entitled. But when I really think about it, the biggest problem in the NFL, it's kind of similar to the problems in Major League Baseball. And the reason I say that, both leagues are facing problems that don't really have any real solutions. Right now, the biggest problem in the NFL is the substandard play at the quarterback position. When compared to past years, modern NFL offenses, they suck. If you don't believe me, go watch Derek Carr and Peter Beater Carmichael try to run the Saints offense on Sunday. Sunday afternoon, I'm watching NFL Red Zone. They're showing parts of the Bills-Jets game. I thought I was watching the XFL or low-level college football. Josh Allen and the Bills offense, they looked okay. They looked good by default. It's kind of hard not to look good when you're competing with Zach Wilson. This past Sunday, Zach Wilson threw for 81 yards. In 2023, an NFL quarterback threw for 81 yards, not in a quarter, not in a half, in a game. The game has never been easier for NFL offenses. If a defensive lineman farts, he's called for roughing the passer. Damn near impossible to defend NFL receivers. How many times have you seen an offense get desperate? They send their receivers on a vertical route. Quarterback throws the ball in their vicinity. Defense gets called for pass interference. Penalty ends up being 50 yards. It used to happen with regularity. Now, of course, haven't seen it very much this year because a lot of these quarterbacks in the NFL, they can't throw a halfway accurate 50-yard pass. I knew there was going to be an offensive decline once the greatest generation of quarterbacks to ever play in the league retired from the NFL. Brady, Breeze, Manning, Big Ben, Aaron Rodgers, Troy Aikman, Dan Marino, Brett Favre. My generation, we were spoiled. I grew up watching the best of the best playing at a high level every week. I knew there would be a decline once they retired, but I didn't think the decline was going to be this drastic. It is an absolute slog to get through 7 hours of NFL Red Zone. Those 7 hours, they used to fly by every Sunday. Nothing took precedence over NFL Sunday. Last year, I was turning off the NFL to watch the Pelicans play regular season games in the NBA. Never done that before. Now, I will say, NFL quarterbacks have improved as the season has progressed, but the level of play at the quarterback position, I wouldn't even call it average. The level of play has improved from sucks to almost sucks. The hardest position to fill in sports is a franchise quarterback in the NFL. Hell, the Chicago Bears, they have been looking for a franchise quarterback my entire life. It took my Saints 40 years to find a franchise quarterback. In the past, when we were going into the NFL offseason, the bottom 10 or so teams in the league, they were going into the draft looking for a quarterback. Today, it feels like 70, maybe 80% of the league is looking for a quarterback. The Saints paid Derek Carr $150 million, and believe me when I tell you, we're looking for a quarterback. Raiders, Falcons, Steelers, Bucks, Jets, Seahawks, Cowboys. KC, the Cowboys have Dak Prescott. Yeah. No shit, that's my point. You were never winning with Dak Prescott. If Dak were playing in the NFL 10, maybe 15 years ago, he would be a career backup. Dak Prescott is the classic illusion. He's like that beautiful blonde that you see at the bar that you think you're going to go home with. After hours of drinking, you finally work up the courage to approach her. In your mind, everything is going well. And then you wake up the next morning after the booze has cleared from your mind and you realize you went home with the bearded Lizzo. Redskins? Well, don't you mean Commanders? I will never refer to that team as the fucking Commanders. Let's just call them the Guardians instead. The Bears, the Cardinals, the Titans, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Browns, the Giants. You get the point. For the longest time, I thought it was just me. I thought I was the only one who thought the level of play in the NFL was declining. Television ratings haven't suffered. The league's still pulling over 20 million viewers every week on Fox and CBS. When we talked about it several weeks ago, my theory was that running quarterbacks were having a detrimental effect on the league. Quarterbacks were relying on their legs to make plays instead of developing into pocket passers. Now, that was just my own personal theory as someone who has never coached or played in this league. If I worked at ESPN, they would call me an NFL analyst. If you don't believe me, go ask Mina Kimes. But if you don't think I have any credibility because I've never played in the league, if you don't want to take my word for it when I say the level of play in the NFL's in decline, maybe you'll listen to Tom Brady. I think most people would consider Tom Brady to be an expert in this field. I mean, the dude has more Super Bowl rings than most of the teams in this league. Yesterday, Tom Brady, he was the guest on Stephen A. Smith's podcast. While talking with Stephen A. Smith, Tom Brady echoed the same exact sentiments that I shared with you guys about the NFL a few weeks ago. Now, of course, Tom Brady, he was able to pinpoint the problem and offer valid solutions, whereas my dumb ass was just bitching and complaining. But watch for yourself.
There's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past. I think the coaching isn't as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. So I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been. I look at a lot of players like Ray Lewis and Rodney Harrison and Ronnie Lott. Every hit they would have made would have been a penalty. Your coach is complaining about their own player being tackled and not necessarily, why don't they talk to their player about how to protect himself? We used to work on the fundamentals of those things all the time. Now they're trying to be regulated all the time. I didn't throw the ball to certain areas because I was afraid players were going to get knocked out. Wow. I didn't throw it to the middle when I played Ray Lewis because you knock him out of the game and I couldn't afford to lose a good play.
Did you notice the passion in Tom Brady? I mean, he feels strongly about this, and he is 100% right in everything that he said. The only place where I kind of disagreed with Tom Brady, I don't think the league is filled with mediocrity. I think it sucks. It's bad. Tom Brady alluded to development being a problem. He claimed NFL coaches are not developing players like they have in the past. He's blaming it on poor coaching, and I'm sure that's part of it, but I also think that a lot of this has to do with the NFL Players Union. NFL teams don't practice like they did in the past. Training camp is nowhere near as grueling as it used to be. The preseason is treated as a joke. As a result, NFL offenses go into the regular season completely unprepared. First 4 weeks of the regular season, that's basically the new preseason. I think the Players Union has had a significant impact on the quality of play in this league. And look, I am not against the Players Union. There are billions of dollars at stake here. NFL players, they need representation. But the thing about labor unions, they're kind of like the government. They often have good intentions, but most of the time, they just fuck things up and make things worse. Back in 2011, the Players Union, they convinced the NFL to change the rules regarding practice. No more two-a-days. Teams are only allowed to have 14 practices per season with players in full pads. During the regular season, they were only allowed one of those during the week. At the time, NFL analyst Bucky Brooks, he wrote an article for NFL.com outlining 3 ways these new rules could negatively impact the product on the NFL field. Number 1, without full speed contact drills, tackling would suffer. Number 2, without full contact practices, the running game would suffer. And number 3, NFL quarterbacks would suffer because protection from the offensive line would be subpar. Offensive linemen, they would no longer have the benefit of working against blitz screens in practices. Keep in mind, Bucky Brooks, he wrote that article in 2011, 12 years ago. You might as well call Bucky Brooks a psychic because every single one of those points, they are a consistent problem in the NFL today. The product on the field sucks. Players aren't being developed because NFL coaches are restricted on what they can do in practice. And until that issue is addressed, we are going to continue to see this substandard level of play in the NFL. All right, before I get out of here for the day, I just wanted to take a second to thank you guys. Like I said earlier, channel surpassed 80,000 subscribers. We have doubled in size since January. The channel's consistently pulling 1.5 million viewers just on an average month. None of that would be possible without you guys showing up and supporting me every day. Can't tell you how much I appreciate every one of you. 2023 has been a weird year on YouTube. It's been a tough year on YouTube. Thanks to our fearless leader, John Biden, and his excellent economic policies, ad revenue on YouTube, it's been declining all year. There's been a lot of instability on the platform. I have seen channels similar to mine that are double, triple my size in terms of subscribers. They are going through these periods where they're having 2, 3, 4,000 views on a video. As a content creator, I can't tell you how discouraging that is. You put your life into this, you work hard creating these videos, and then you hit publish and the video performs like a wet fart on a first date. It fucks with you mentally. You wonder if you're doing something wrong when in reality, you really have no control over it. While my subscriber growth has slowed down during the fall, especially October and November, I have yet to hit a plateau when it comes to views. Matter of fact, views for the channel are pretty consistent. I can't remember the last time a video underperformed and pulled less than 10,000 views. And that has nothing to do with me and everything to do with all of you. You guys show up twice a day, every day. Most of you watch the entirety of the video, which causes YouTube to promote the channel to new subscribers. Every week, thousands of you guys share the videos for me. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I have never been more dedicated to anything in my life than the dedication I have for this channel and this audience. And the reason I'm so dedicated to this channel and dedicated to you guys, I am constantly reminded of where I came from. Every day when I walk into the house and my girlfriend is stressed and she's had a bad day at work and she's complaining about work, I am instantly reminded of the misery I used to live through going to work every day at my old job. And look, it wasn't just my old company. Looking back at it now, I was miserable at every job that I've ever had. My dad, he is notorious for saving 99 cents of every dollar that he's ever earned. Financially, my dad has set up the family for life, but he still runs his business every day because he enjoys it, and he still saves 99% of his money. The other night, we were at my parents' house for dinner. Somehow the topic of money was brought up. Now, my dad, he grew up poor. I mean, he was dirt poor growing up. They used to get one pair of shoes and one pair of pants for the school year, and that was it. That's all they got. I don't remember the exact nature of the conversation, but somehow the topic of saving money and being broke came up. My dad said, "You never forget the pain you go through when you're poor. That feeling never leaves you." Now, my dad hadn't been poor in 50 years, but he has never forgotten the struggle that he went through. I feel the same way about this channel. I have never forgotten the struggle I went through to get here. There are times when people in my life will say to me, "Why don't you just take a day off? You work every day. You make your own schedule. You can afford to skip a couple of videos." My response is always the same. Number one, I don't need to take a day off because I'm off every day. I never feel like I work because I love what I do. And number two, I feel like I would be cheating you guys if I'm not active every day here on the channel. If you're willing to watch every day and listen to me bloviate, I feel like the least I can do is show up. You know, sometimes I wake up on Monday mornings and I'm kind of in a bad mood thinking that I have to go to work. Now, of course, after a couple of minutes, I realize I no longer have a job to go to and my mood instantly changes. I quit my job 2.5 years ago. I have not had a bad day since. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Thank you for allowing me to live my dream. I'll be back here tomorrow. I'll see you guys then.